Hey everybody, it's Mr. S, and I'm here to read a very special book today. This one's called Mr. Seahorse by Eric Carle. What part of the book is this? Front cover. This is the spine. We have the back cover. And inside we have these things called pages, and they help us tell a story. Who is the author? The person who writes the book, and the illustrator is the person that does the pictures. And for this book, the author and illustrator are both Eric Carle. Mr. and Mrs. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Mr. Seahorse began to wiggle and twist this way and that. "It's time for me to lay my eggs," she said. "Can I help?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Oh yes, thank you," said Mrs. Seahorse, and she laid her eggs into a pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. "I'll take good care of our eggs," said Mr. Seahorse. "I promise." So she's gonna lay her eggs into his pouch. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of reeds. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Stickleback?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Delighted," replied Mr. Stickleback. "I just built a nest, and right away Mr. Stickleback laid her eggs into it. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." "Keep up the good work," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. So see, Mr. Stickleback, there's a bunch of eggs in his nest, and he's going to protect them. Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. He passed right by a lionfish hidden behind a coral reef. Before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Tilapia?" asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. His mouth was full of eggs. I know," said Mr. Seahorse. "Miss Tilapia laid her eggs. Now you're taking good care of them until they hatch." Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. "You must be very happy," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by what did he pass by? Oh no. A pair of leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Curtis?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Perfectly fine," replied Mr. Curtis. "Miss Curtis laid her eggs, and I have tucked them on my head. Stuck them on my head, not tucked them. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." "You are doing a good job," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a stonefish hidden behind a rock. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Pipe?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Couldn't be better," replied Mr. Pipe. "Miss Pipe laid her eggs along my belly. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." "You should feel very proud of yourself," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Bullhead?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Tip-top," replied Mr. Bullhead. "Miss Bullhead laid her eggs, and the eggs hatched. Now I'm babysitting." "You are doing a fine job," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. So there's all the fish that hatched, and the dad says he's going to take care of them. The time had come for the seahorse babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted this way and that. At last, the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch. "Oh no," said Mr. Seahorse, "I do love you, but now you're ready to be on your own." The end. So, let's recall what this book was about. Well, it's definitely about a seahorse, but it's about a seahorse and a lot of other animals, or for in this book, fish, who take care of their babies. Normally we think mommy takes care of the baby, but in this book, the daddy also takes care of the baby. Just like our dads take care of us. Okay, friends, I hope you enjoy our book. See you next time.